Hi gardeners, it's Mary Jane here. Today I'm planting peonies. I know I already have a ton in my yard, but what's a few more, right? Peonies are not hard to plant, and once they're established in the ground, they're not hard to take care of either. So that's one of the reasons I really love them, in addition, of course, to their beautiful flowers and foliage. It's spring here right now, and I find spring is the best time to find potted peony plants at the garden center. Most garden centers stock up on a ton of different types of peonies during the springtime, so get there early if you're looking for a specific type or color, or just browse and see what's available and see what you like. If you do have your heart set on a certain type of peony, like this one is Dr. Alex Fleming. If you can't find it in store, look online. Some of the specialty flower nurseries ship their peonies in the fall, which is actually like the best time to plant them. The heat of summer is gone, it's starting to cool off, but the roots still have time to get established in the soil before winter. So don't get too sad if you can't find the peony that you love in the garden center, but order it now for fall planting. Peonies flower the best when you plant them in full sun. So look for a planting spot where they can get full sun, generally an open spot without too much shade from trees. That's what you're looking for if you want the most flowers out of your peonies. You're gonna have to water the plants more, of course, if they're in the blazing sun, but you're gonna get some fantastic blooms. The other thing peonies like in terms of a planting location is well-drained soil. So if your soil naturally drains well, you don't find puddles in your lawn. They love like a sandy loam kind of soil. Maybe not so much the heavy clays where you see water pooling when it rains, but they can be grown also in raised area. This garden here is raised up a little bit. We do have a nice sandy loam, but I do like this garden just raised up a little bit so that I know the soil is draining well. A raised planting bed also shows them off a little. Before you plant your peony, just make sure that the soil's a little bit moist. I watered this yesterday, it looks fine. It's gonna come out of the pot fine, but if it's like super dry and crispy, it can be a bother to come out of the pot too, and the peony's also probably not so happy about that. Let's get planting. First thing is to have a look at the tag. Note what kind you're planting. This one's gonna get about 40 inches tall. Peonies do spread and become wider at their base too, although they do it quite slowly. But eventually this one could get as big as 32 to 36 inches, and that's if you don't divide it and leave it in place. So we're gonna go ahead and dig the planting hole. It should be quite a bit wider than the plant pot. I'm gonna dig it at least 2 times wider as the plant pot here. But it doesn't need to be any deeper than the soil inside the plant pot. Don't dig it any deeper than the soil inside the plant pot, or actually if you bury the peony too deeply, it will have trouble blooming. So just make sure that you're lining up the elevation of the soil right around the plant in the pot with the elevation of the soil around it. And that includes any mulch that you're gonna have on top of the soil, which is a great idea for peonies. Oh, here's a worm. I plant my peonies about 2 feet apart. I don't have a ton of room for them, and I like to have a lot of different kinds. So I find that 2 feet apart is nice visually for them in the landscape, and if they do get too close to each other, I can always divide them later on. If I was planting them out in a cutting garden, I don't think I'd plant them closer than 3 feet. I think they'd be 3, maybe even 4 feet apart. Because I'm planting them here in the landscape, I want them a little bit closer just to fill in the bed. So just checking that the potting soil that was inside the pot, the potting soil around the stems, is at the same level as the garden soil around it. So I've watered the soil around the base of the peony. That's helped the soil to settle a bit too, so that's nice. And I just pulled back a little bit of the mulch too. I don't have much mulch in this garden. I'll probably come back with some compost a little bit later on. And this peony is probably ready for some fertilizer too, so I'll be doing that in the coming days. So peonies are totally low maintenance in the garden. You just want to get them off to a good start. So that first year or two, keeping them well watered throughout the spring, particularly in the heat of summer, and then in the fall, making sure that they have all the water that they need. If you do that for a year or two, the roots are going to last for years and years and years when they get well established into the soil and store up that energy. So just take a little bit of time in the first year or two to get them well established, and it'll be well worth it. And just a quick thank you. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed. There's 1,000 people subscribed to my gardening channel. That is crazy. Thank you so much, everyone who's taken the time to click that subscribe button and to follow me on my gardening adventures. And I'll see you in the next video.